The slave trade started around 1445 by a man called Prince Henry, the navigator of Portugal. And the trade ended in Africa in the 1870s. That will give you 400 years in slavery. And this is the cenotaph of the man that owned the compound. At the age of 6, he was captured as a slave boy, and the name that his parents gave to him, we call it Ifa-Remileku, was his birth name. Today, how comes the name changed to be Seriki William Abbas? And that era, we have two categories of slaves. We have a home slave and field. The home slave were the domestic slaves that work in their masters, while the field work on the farm, work on the plantation. Abbas was the first master that owns the young boy as a slave. He made him a domestic slave. And Abbas in question lived in the Republic of Dahomey. The Republic of Dahomey was changed to Benin Republic in 1975. Maybe behind Okosonu, Ajashe, it's called Republic of Dahomey. Abbas made him a domestic slave, later resold him to a white man called Williams. William took the father Remileku down to Brazil. He made the domestic slave. He now taught him how to read, which was illegal. Slave must not go to school because they believe that if slave were being given education, one day he or she will rise and fight for their rights. So through Mr. William, this man speaks English, Dutch, Spanish, and Portuguese, and he can read and he can write as well. But one day, William called him, "Come, let me give you a freedom on condition you work for me." And he grabbed the offer. William said to him, from where he found Remileku Brazil, he came down to resettle where we are standing right now. When he came here, it was the white man Williams that built this compound in the 1840s. In 1895, he became the Seriki Musulumi of Badagry because slaves bear their master's name. That is why he chose to bear the name of the first master, the second, and the title that he had. His birth name, Ifa-Remileku, disappeared for a while because they have no identity. Now, you all know this compound as Brazilian Barracoon. And the reason why they call the compound Brazilian Barracoon, most of the slave people for this one were taken to Brazil, and they were Yoruba origin. Today in Brazil, there's a god among the Yorubas known as Yemeja. In Brazil, they call it Lemeja, Eshu, Ezu, Yala Karakari. That tells that they are Yorubas that have been moved from this compound to Brazil. And Barracoon is a Portuguese or Spanish word meaning cell, dungeon, or storehouse where the slaves were being kept. We have total number of 40 rooms in the compound right now. 40 slaves in each of the room. But the federal government of Nigeria met with his family that were currently living in the compound. They should be taken to sell the way it were then. Then I gathered most of the relics and some of the items that were used on slave and kept that people all over the world comes here to view. But before we go in, let's turn around. Now, when the Europeans came to Africa, we Africans, we have our own currency. That's the money that we spend in Africa. Now, let me mention 4 types of money we spent in the olden days. In the olden days, tobacco were used as money in Africa. There's what we call yala salt, Y-A-L-A, then salt, S-A-L-T, yala salt were used. Then there's what we call Manila. If you look at a 100 notes, you notice a green star. The one that carries Awolowo's logo. There's a covering inside. Then it turned the by C2 at the below. Then one here. It's like a covering. Portuguese use Manila. Our forefather used Manila. Then 2. Then the last one is not cowrie shell. Let me see if I have a cowrie. It's a cowrie shell that we use then as a money. But when they came, them say they can do business with our forefather with this kind of money, that they prefer doing trade by barter. So that's why this item we are being dropped on the board. Europeans give our forefather 1 umbrella, you give them 40 human beings as a slave.
1 umbrella for 40.
The same umbrella we are showing the vice president, Yemi Osinbajo, last year when he paid a courtesy visit to the museum. A bottle of whiskey go for 10 human beings as a slave. We have a bottle of 1873 from Vienna, Austria, inside the museum that we'll show you later. A plate, we call it ceramic bowl, go for 10 human beings as a slave. Mirror and bead. Atom can say 3 slaves, Shim can say 2, Olatune can say 7, I can say 8. Depends how you could bargain and negotiate with the beads and mirror. When he became the Seriki, I mean the Ifa-Remileku, when they want to turban him, that's the crown and Seriki, Brazil gave him this as a gift, while the kettle was given to him by the European. A then gun go for 40 human beings as a slave. The long cannon gun, 100 slaves. The short one go for 40 human beings. Now the question is this: we Africans or black men, what do we do with the guns and the cannon? We use it to fight ourselves. So to get more slaves to settle, we sold ourselves into slavery. The Tudors have been here since 1840s when the compound was being Exactly. Now, out of the 40 rooms that we have in the compound today, 38 rooms were being occupied by his family, family. Now, let's see those 2 rooms. But before we go in, let me show you this picture. Eat once in a day. Or sometimes they have to perforate. They'll pierce the upper lips and lower lips and put padlock. Or they use this called iron muscles to guard their mouth so that they'll not be able to eat much food, so they'll not have a stamina to revolt or to fight their master. Now, if you look at this is a smaller one. The reason why this one iron muscle is different. Any beautiful among the slaves, this is the initiation of the slave master's wife, so that her beauty will not attract their husband. So they have to cover the whole face of the beautiful slave. Okay, that's why her own is so different. Now, let's see those 2 rooms quickly and see what you have in. Come in. Give her father this, and you give them 40 money. The umbrella was made of wood, bronze, silk, and cane. Let me show you that the cane. You can see the cane of the umbrella. And this umbrella should be about 25 to 30 kg. It's so heavy. And the same umbrella the slave boy was carrying on the head of the master. And this umbrella must not drop from the hand of the slave. If it drop, they will beheaded the slave. Now, this one is called Calvin yoke. They use this to join 2 slaves together. They put this at the ankle of the first slave, then the ankle of the second slave. They're now lucky with their padlock. And this thing was made of metal. There's no how it always puts wounds around the ankle of the slave. Okay, because they were slaves the next day. This separate chain should be 1 chain those days, but because of the heat, it's wearing out. We call it waist chain. Any slave that is stubborn, they will tie it around the waist, so to calm the slave down, so that he'll be less aggressive fighting another slave or those one or fight. Now they put this one inside the fire to write the name of the owner of the slave on the check. Even Babatunde slave, my name should be Babatunde. They write Babatunde on my checks or at my back. We call it brandy because slave stock here we are owned by different owners. For identification, you have to brand your slave. This, if it's your bamboo, then the slave will not full. They will have escaped through the roofing. But you know, a clay, they use a clay like when you do a decking, a stick like 2 feet or 3 feet on top. So there's no way they will be able to escape. And look at that rectangular shape for window, and that's what we give them ventilation. Imagine 40 able women being kept here and waiting the slave ship for 3 to 4 more. These are the people. Imagine the odor, the heat. Imagine how many human, because they will have died there. That's why when people come, they are telling you are not here to catch them. They just to feel the pain the people of past have felt. Each of those ceramic bowls go for 10. That's a 50 human being you are seeing there. It doesn't matter the size. Once the European give you one of these, you give them 10 human beings as a slave. Now at your back, that bottle at your back, if you look closely at the body, you see 1873 big customized on the body. The bottle is from Vienna, Austria. That's a 10 human being standing. And that round object, there's what we call record. They call it gramophone. But today we use DVD and CD. And these are the gifts given to me by the Brazilian and the European friend, and some of the money I show you guys outside. Sorry. Now, because he was a Muslim, if you want to do his prayer, this is where they keep his water for ablution, soup, and his drinking pot. Now, what we are doing here, we are just showcasing this clothing on this local mannequin. The cloth is over 200 years of age. Now, that's the moment to the point of no return. The point of no return is across the water there. So they walk in a single file. We call it single file to the point of no return. Now, look at this man as a slave. The man took knife and stabbed himself. He said, instead of him to be a slave, he preferred to die. And that's a building Seriki Abba resided. And these are called killers' dogs to trace any slave that tried to escape. Any slave that refused to accept the master's name, we tie on a stake and struck. And not the last one day we are beaten to death. If a slave died, no case, because slaves were property. Now, let me go back to this. Look at this man here. Look at these 2 guys. Those are the raiders. They wanted to capture the old man. If you look at the hand of the woman, he took knife and killed her. I'm coming back to that. Now, there's an island in Georgia called St. Simon Island in a Dover Creek, where over 75 of the Igbo slaves said over their dead body to be a slave in another man. What they did, they killed their masters. 75 of them in one accord walk into the ocean and drown themselves. They call the place Igbolandi. But those people said something. They are repatriating to Africa. But when someone say repatriate, I say we are going back to Africa. But they later end up in Georgia Ocean. That to tell you that their spirit is here tormenting Africa. That's why we are not moving until we learn to say sorry to turn certain set of people. Probably Africa will be back from where she buried off track. The man too said, instead of him to be a slave, I would rather that there's a lot of things that happened during the slave era. Now, if you are watching a film called Django, you see 20 dogs that will go for one man and they'll pieces the slave to pieces. Those are the killers' dogs. So there's a thing called The Root. The guy African name was Kunta Kinte. They were not giving Toby. He said, no, my name is Kunta Kinte. I am of Africa. It was the 7th generation of Haile Salih traced their root for the United States of America to Senegambia, where the guy was captured. That's why when people come here, I used to say, please, let's give our children our names. There's nothing ever wrong with our name tells where we really come from. Now, Yoruba call this one Asho Etu, owned by Seriki Aba. It's over 200 years well. Then this box, Yoruba call it Akotisha. I know that's marked boxes. We didn't know how many slaves that were used in exchange for those two boxes. You saw one in the first and then this one. Please come. Now, these are some of the olden days iron corrugated sheet they use for the roof. It's different from what we produce now. This is what we produce.
Wow.
You get 15 of these lighter one or 20 from this edible one, and up to date in some part of the building we see some of these in those pictures, some of the children of Seriki Williams Abbas, and this chair used to be his realization chair. Now we call this thing Gallo, Gallow. If you remember when we were in the first cell, I showed you some chain. They will tie the chain around the wrist of the man. You met one of, and they'll be hung on gallow, and they'll be here dying gradually. They're just trying to instill in fear into other slaves, and as you see them, they won't last for a day till they are dead. Now, this one happened in Dominican Republic, today known as Haiti. When the slave were being led by a man called Toussaint Louverture around 1791, the slave killed all the whites in Haiti. They now got their independence, but the French came back to them that they should pay damages. We call it reparation, and they forced them to borrow money from their banks. And some say the reason why the Haitians were still poor today, they are still paying to the French colony. And the reason why I got to believe this, most of the colony that French colonized were still paying colonial taxes up to date to French colony. And I used to tell people that what the hell African leaders were doing, because I believe that we are the one who's supposed to fight for those things, not the American or even Europe. That's to say that we don't have leaders. Groups called abolitionists. Those groups rise up and say no. That this, because then they say we blacks, we are subhuman. When somebody says you are a sub, they say we have no soul. They were an apes. They say it's a lie. People like John Brown. John Brown was hung on gallows with 2 of his sons till death because he's a white man. He used to he recruit some slaves. He would go into the plantation, free them, kill the plantation owner. America's government sentenced him dead by hanging on gallows. So, but they keep on pushing. People like Harriet Tubman, many of them that started fighting. The British, they have no choice. They have to put stop to trade. When they put stop to trade, the slaves here were jubilating for freedom. And there's nothing so beautiful to be a free person. Now look at that small window. We give another 40 human being here a ventilation. Now let's go outside and see the last people. That's how the coupons to be in those days, those red books. But it was being plastered by the family so that the building is clean. So all these they are all cell and 40 in each of the room. Then over here, this is the remnant, the building where Seriki Aba started. The building collapsed in 1995 to have been the 1947. And over here used to be his court. This used to be his court, and this is the chamber of Seriki Aba. Now we call this thing mausoleum. This is where he was buried when he died. He died 11 June 1919, and he was buried by the family, the Muslim community, and the Brazilian. So you're welcome. I don't know if you have any questions.